Chapter 6. A skeleton finds rest at last. Ten minutes later, it was time for tea, but Virginia did not come down for it. At first, Mrs. Otis did not worry. She knew that Virginia liked to go out into the garden every evening to get flowers for the dinner table. But at 6 o'clock, she sent the boys out to look for their sister, while she and Mr. Otis looked in every room of the house. At 6:30, the boys came back. They could not find Virginia. Then Mr. Otis, Washington, and the Duke of Cheshire got their horses and rode out into the woods and fields around Canterville Chase. They looked everywhere and asked everybody, "Have you seen Virginia?" But nobody could help them. Just before midnight, they went back to the house. They were very worried, but Mr. Otis told everybody to get some sleep. "We'll begin again in the morning," he said, "and I'll send for some detectives from London." They were all standing at the bottom of the stairs when the clock sounded midnight. Suddenly, there was a crash, followed by a loud and terrible cry. Thunder shook the house, and the sound of ghostly music came to their ears. Then a secret door opened in the wall at the top of the stairs, and out walked Virginia. She was very white, and she had a little box in her hands. Everyone ran up the stairs. Mrs. Otis threw her arms round her. The Duke of Cheshire kissed her again and again, and the twins laughed and danced around her. "Where have you been?" said Mr. Otis. "We've looked everywhere for you, and your mother has been so frightened for you. You must never play these tricks again." "Only on the ghost," shouted the twins, laughing. "You must never leave my side again, my dearest Virginia," said Mrs. Otis, and she kissed the trembling child. "Father," said Virginia, "I have been with the ghost. He is dead, and you must come and see him. He was a bad man, but he was really sorry for everything that he did. And look, he gave me this box of beautiful jewels before he died." All the family looked at her and the box, and they were too surprised to say a word. Virginia then took them through the secret door in the wall and down a narrow passage, lit by a candle that Washington was carrying. At last, they came to a heavy wooden door. When Virginia touched it, it opened slowly. They found themselves in a little room with one small window in it. A skeleton lay on the floor, chained to the wall. A plate and a water jug were also on the floor, but they were too far away for the skeleton's fingers to get hold of them. Virginia put her hands together and began to pray silently. The others looked down at the skeleton of Sir Simon de Canterville. Now they knew the terrible secret of his death. "He is peaceful now," said Virginia. "I prayed to God to give him peace." And suddenly the others were sure that they could see a beautiful light around Virginia's face. "You are wonderful," cried the young Duke, and he put his arm round her neck and kissed her. 4 days later, at about 11 o'clock at night, they took Sir Simon de Canterville to the Garden of Death, where he wanted to be. Lord Canterville came specially from Wales to be there with the Otis family. They put Sir Simon into the ground, and Virginia put a cross made of beautiful white flowers on the ground next to him. When she did this, The moon came out from behind a cloud, and the little night bird began to sing its sweet high song. Virginia was very quiet during the drive home. The next morning, before Lord Canterville left, Mr. Otis spoke to him about the box of jewels. "My lord," he said, "these jewels belong to you, or to your family. Virginia asks for only one thing, the box. Can she keep it?" "My dear sir," replied Lord Canterville, "your daughter has been a wonderful friend to one of my family. We shall always thank her for that. And remember, you bought the house and everything in it, the ghost too. Anything that belonged to him is now yours. No, Mr. Otis, your daughter must keep the jewels. When she is a woman, she will be happy to have pretty things to wear." So Virginia kept the jewels, and she wore them in the spring of 1890, when she married the young Duke of Cheshire, and everyone said, "How beautiful." Some time later, she and her husband went down to Canterville Chase. One afternoon, they walked through the woods to the Garden of Death and to the old tree. "Virginia," said the Duke, "tell me something. What happened when you were locked up with the ghost?" "Please don't ask me, Cecil. I cannot tell you," she said. "Poor Sir Simon. I have much to thank him for." "Yes, don't laugh, Cecil. I do. He helped me to understand about life and death, and that love is stronger than both." The Duke kissed his wife lovingly. "My dear, you can keep your secret. The only thing I want is your love," he said. "You have always had that, Cecil," she said. "And you will tell our children some day?" Virginia did not answer, but her face went prettily red.